Did you know that Goten is actually not the youngest Super Saiyan in history? How about the fact that the first ever Super Saiyan was neither Goku nor Yamashi? Or damn, how about the record that Goku set while being only 12 years old? A record that, by the way, stands not only for Dragon Ball, but for all anime in existence. These are 25 Dragon Ball records that you probably never realized before. For example, let's start with the record where Goten is actually not the youngest Super Saiyan in history. Yes, it's true that he transformed into a Super Saiyan at the age of 7, but you may find it surprising that there was someone who was able to use this transformation at an even earlier age. What do you think we're talking about? And at what age did that person become a Super Saiyan? Age 5? Age 3? Maybe 6 months old? Nope, believe it or not, the youngest Super Saiyan ever recorded wasn't even born when she first used the transformation, and that was none other than Gohan's daughter. Remember how the gang needed 5 Super Saiyans, excluding Goku, to perform the ritual for the Super Saiyan God transformation? There was Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks, and Goten, but they still needed one more. Well, this is where Videl pitches in with that Saiyan baby girl in her belly. Now, if you told me that a fetus can become a Super Saiyan when I was first watching Dragon Ball Z, I would have laughed in your face, since this was supposed to be the epitome of hard work for a Saiyan. But as we saw in episode 9 of Dragon Ball Super, this actually happened, and the baby inside Videl's belly also transforms into a Super Saiyan. Moving on to the second one, who do you think is the first ever Super Saiyan? Now, if your answer to that question is Yamoshi, then I'm afraid you're incorrect. Technically, this may come as a surprise to some of you, but the first ever Super Saiyan in Universe 7 was actually Goku's father, Bardock. You see, Yamoshi is just the previous legendary Super Saiyan who was born around 1,000 years ago. But Bardock's Super Saiyan transformation happened way before his birth. The time difference between when Bardock becomes a Super Saiyan and Yamoshi's legendary transformation is actually 866 years, due to the fact that Bardock was actually sent back in time in a TV special, thus making Bardock, Goku's father, the first ever Super Saiyan. However, depending on whether you consider that TV special canon or not is up for debate. If it is canon, then Bardock is the first ever Super Saiyan. And if it's not canon, then yeah, Yamoshi still holds the title of the first ever Super Saiyan. And the records held by Goku's family don't stop here. You see, future Gohan is the only known Saiyan to ever fight with just one arm. Yeah, we've seen Piccolo, Nail, and even Tien fighting with one arm. But as far as Saiyans go, future Gohan is the only one who has actively fought with just one arm. Which is funny, because Vegeta has had his left arm broken so many times, but he'd just stop and scream instead of continuing the fight with his other arm. No disrespect to the Prince of all Saiyans, by the way, but oh well, it is what it is. Of course, the video would obviously be incomplete without a Goku record, and the one we'll present now is one you probably would have missed. I know, it's hard to miss a Goku record, right? Well, hear this. Do you remember how after the 21st World's Martial Arts Tournament, Goku ate as many as 57 full-course meals? That's at least 1 million calories. Now, this is actually not that surprising, considering we all know how much Goku loves to eat, but let's not forget that he was only 12 years old at the time. That's right, Goku holds the record for the most calories ever consumed by a 12-year-old in any anime ever. And since we're talking about Goku, there's another record you probably missed. You see, when it comes to impressive action anime feats, Saitama's short trip to the moon and back is often cited as one of the most impressive feats. However, what if I told you that Goku did something just as impressive, and he did it right at the beginning of the story? You see, we're talking about the moment when Goku uses his power pole to take Monster Rabbit and his minions all the way up to the moon. This officially certifies him as the only protagonist to touch the moon with a pole from the surface of the Earth. And you'll be surprised to know just how early he bagged that record in the story. It happened in the 9th episode of Dragon Ball. By the way, what if I told you that the record for the most delusional and ignorant nonsense ever spouted by a character is also held by a Saiyan? In episode 116 of Dragon Ball Super, Kefla literally claimed that she had the power to, quote, one-shot an entire universe. And the fact that she says it while competing in front of individuals like the Grand Priest and the Omni Kings makes me want to burst out laughing. The audacity to say this in front of characters like the Omni King Zeno is without a doubt laughable. But speaking of Zeno, let's present the fact he holds. The record for the most mortals killed in history belongs to, you guessed it, Zeno. He literally killed 6 universes in the past and 7 universes during the Tournament of Power. That literally makes even Thanos' actions look like a child's game in front of what Zeno did. Alright, we've talked about the character who deluded herself into thinking that she can one-shot a universe. We've also talked about the character who can one-shot universes. Now, how about a character that actually became a universe? Infinite Zamasu is quite a special case in the Dragon Ball storyline because he achieves a surprisingly unusual feat. The way he was sliced up in half and yet still managed to not only survive, but become the universe itself is by far the craziest feat we've ever seen from a Dragon Ball antagonist, granting him an insanely unique record reserved just for him. Now, with that record of Zamasu, this also means that he also holds another record. He becomes the largest character in the story. By becoming the universe itself, he He even surpasses Super Shenron in size. But it's worth noting that Super Shenron himself is not just the biggest eternal dragon in Dragon Ball, he's the biggest dragon in all of fiction. The Mad Lad is colossal enough to encompass multiple galaxies. Heck, it literally looks as though we can eat galaxies for lunch and then drink some black holes to wash it all down. Super Shenron is indeed by far the biggest dragon in the history of fiction, but even he is actually smaller than Zamasu. Though, since we're talking about eternal dragons, who do you think is the most chill and laid-back dragon in the story? The dragon we're talking about only requires you to find just 2 Dragon Balls, and unlike Shenron or Porunga, he can even turn you into the strongest in the entire universe. Well, as long as you're willing to give up a ridiculous sum of your lifespan, of course. For example, in Granola's case, he takes 150 years. But to be fair, 150 years is a small price to pay for becoming the strongest in the universe. I mean, Granola literally went from a nobody to basically defeating Ultra Instinct Goku and Ultra Ego Vegeta. Do note that Shenron and Porunga would have straight up refused to grant this type of wish, but who knew that Toronbo was as chill as that? Next up, it's funny how characters are not the only ones who can hold records. For example, here we have records held by independent universes. As you can expect, Universe 1 is at the top of the ranking when it comes to mortal level, but where is Universe 7? It's second from the bottom, although they do move up a spot after the Tournament of Power. But now, which universe is the worst? Well, the record for the worst universe in the Dragon Ball multiverse is held by Universe 9. Wait, isn't that the same universe whose angel grinned after it was erased out of existence? Following the worst universe, let me tell you about the one who holds the record for the loudest scream. As we saw during the Majin Buu saga, Super Buu's scream was so hardcore that he was able to manufacture a dimensional rift. Goten was later able to do the same, but his scream wasn't even half as impressive as Super Buu's scream. Though, yes, this one is indeed kinda cursed. And speaking of cursed, who do you think is our 13th record holder? It's Grand Elder Guru from the Frieza saga, and he takes the 13th spot because he's the only character in the entire story who has died twice in the same arc. The good old Guru died on Namek, he was brought back to life using the Earth's Dragon Balls, but then he died once again on Earth, all within the same arc. Damn, Toriyama must have had something personal against him. Next, we have the only mortal who has yet to die in the story. You see, when it comes to the Z Fighters, all of them have died at some point in the story. Even characters like Master Roshi died when the Earth was destroyed by Majin Buu. But there was one person, one character, who has somehow succeeded in surviving everything. It goes to none other than the world champion, the champion of the universe, Mr. Satan. Sure, he may be a fraud, but hey, your favorite character has died more times than him. Moving on, we have the most frequently defeated villain in the entire story. I'm sure most of you immediately guessed that it's Frieza, and to be honest, you'd be absolutely correct to guess that. But how many times do you think he was defeated throughout the entire story? Well, he lost against Goku on Namek, he was sliced and cut into pieces by Trunks, he was defeated by Pikkon in Hell, Goku kills him with a Kamehameha during Resurrection of F, Frieza then loses again during the Broly movie, and even in Dragon Ball GT, he's not spared, as Goku freezes and then smashes him to pieces. Overall, Frieza has been defeated 6 times so far, and considering how he is still relevant, you bet he's gonna get defeated again. That number will soon bump up to 7. Hold on, we mentioned Goku defeating opponents, but wanna guess who was the first villain to actually defeat Goku? We're talking about actual villains, and there are 2 of them. The first one who defeats Goku is General Blue from the Red Ribbon Army. He uses telekinesis to do him in. The second one is Mercenary Tao, and he is the first villain of the story to defeat Goku in actual hand-to-hand combat. And what if I told you that there was only one character in the story who actually deliberately kills Goku for good? No, it's not Cell. That was more like a self-sacrifice. And it's not Hit either, because Goku survived in the end. Yup, it's Piccolo. Although it was a self-sacrifice, it's also true that Piccolo is the only one who was able to consciously and deliberately kill Goku. And for that, he holds the record for being the only one to have deliberately killed Goku. Now, there are a couple of more records that our boy Piccolo holds. For example, when comparing him with the rest of the Z Fighters, we can easily observe that he's the tallest of them, standing at 7 feet and 5 inches. He's the tallest one out of all the Z Fighters, leaving behind characters like Vegeta that stand at just 5 feet 3 inches tall. But Piccolo's records do not end there. He's also the youngest participant to ever compete in the World Martial Arts Tournament. Hear me out. Let me remind you that Piccolo was barely 3 years old when Goku fought him in the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. So yeah, Piccolo is technically a minor at this point in time. Next, we have the record held by Mr. Popo too. It's about having the most elegant smile in the entire story. Nah, seriously, Mr. Popo is an immortal individual who has served all the guardians of the Earth. He always outlives them and then trains their successor. Following Mr. Popo, we have the character who holds the record for spending the most amount of years being sealed. Is it Majin Buu, who was in a state of stagnation for millions of years? Or is it Moro, who was sealed by the Grand Supreme Kai for 10 million years? Well, it's neither of them. The one who holds this record is actually the old Kai, about 75 25 million years ago, he had a stupid argument with Beerus over something trivial, and Beerus just sealed him away inside the Z-Sword. It wasn't until recently, when Gohan broke the sword, that it was finally set free. Now, let me ask you a question. Who is the smartest character in Dragon Ball? Is it Dr. Brief, who founded the Capsule Corporation? Is it Dr. Gero, who created the perfect warrior in the form of Cell? Or is it Bulma, who was able to ignore the laws of physics and create a time machine? Honestly, we don't know, but what we do know is that the choices don't end here. As we learn from Chapter 17 of Dragon Ball Super, there was someone in Universe 12 who managed to create the machine. In doing so, this mysterious individual not only became the first person to ever create something like this, but also the first person to trigger an alternate timeline in the multiverse. That's 2 different records. Who knows? Maybe they were also the smartest character. All right, we may not have been able to label Bulma as the record holder for the smartest person in the story, but there is one record that no one, not even Saiyans, can take away from her. Now, what exactly are we talking about? We're talking about the fact that Bulma has changed her hairstyle at least 18 times throughout the entire series. That's right, not even the Saiyans with all their different transformations could even match up to her. Following Bulma, we have Master Roshi. He canonically holds the world record for having the most popular collection of naughty magazines. But that's not what this is about. This is more about how he's the oldest man on Earth. He's been around for several centuries, and it's clear that he's not planning on kicking the bucket anytime soon. But note that he is the oldest man still alive, not the oldest living human. Nope, that record belongs to his older sister, the fortune teller Baba. She is the oldest living human on Earth. Finally, we have the one who holds the record for creating the most iconic technique, not just in Dragon Ball, but in the anime medium in general. We're talking about the Kamehameha. Now, you may think it was Master Roshi who created the Kamehameha, and then took 50 years to properly master it. But what if I told you that it was someone else? You see, as it turns out, the credit for creating the Kamehameha goes to Toriyama Sensei's wife, Nachi Mikami. When Toriyama Sensei was thinking about an attack for Master Roshi, and how he wanted to include the term Kame in it, as it means turtle, his wife suggested naming the attack after the first ever king of Hawaii. Well, can you guess the name of that king? The king's name was Kamehameha, and that is how the Kamehameha technique made it into the Dragon Ball storyline. Check out this video, where we present 28 secrets you probably never knew about the legend himself, Son Goku. Go on, click it.